Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and our kids at the Iowa City Community School District. Before I get the honor of introducing my two distinguished guests tonight, I would like to congratulate John Kurth and Michael Peterson for starting this show 27 years ago. And I had the pleasure and the honor of joining them a couple of years after that. Because I am a young guy and they are old people. Of course, it's the opposite, but I have to say that. And the reason for the congratulation is that we just won the Legacy show on local TV here, thanks to Public Access TV, and for the fact that made this show a fact persistently and consistently and always covering the community, school district activities and innovations and so forth. Adam Kurth is our school district director of technology and innovation. And to his right side is Justin Miller. Justin Miller is the manager of technology operations, or operation technology manager. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's our pleasure to have you tonight.
Thank
we
you
are
for
pleased,
asking.
especially when we won this prize. You'll be the first to be our guests tonight.
It is
Very
an honor.
special night for us. And I know that you have in your menu a lot of things for us tonight. So I will let you start, take the lead, and
Sure.
then we'll go into the conversation as we proceed.
Sure. Yeah, so some of the things that we wanted to talk about, really to highlight some of the access initiatives that we're working on here in the district. You know, as you're aware, as most of the viewers are probably aware, there are equity concerns as it relates to school technology, just like any other area of education and learning. And so those are some areas that we're pretty focused on. I would say it's one of our primary focuses within the technology department. So whether we're dealing with those from the operational lens or from the teaching and learning lens, you know, those have been top of mind for us. So looking at some of the things that we're doing both within the classroom and then also larger perspective district-wide to address some of those concerns has been, you know, a real key for us.
As a matter of fact, before we go further, as long as you open this topic, I think one of my main concerns when I heard last year about the computers, the Combok or something like that.
Yep.
And I was a little concerned about the fact that some of our kids don't have the hi-fi and all that and the facility to connect with the internet.
Absolutely.
But I think this was one of your concerns too, and I think you found a solution for it.
Yes, we did, and that's actually one of the components that we looked at. You know, we knew as a district before I even arrived in the district, which was about a year and a half ago. We knew that we were moving towards a one-to-one computing environment where every student would have access to a computer at the secondary grade levels, and that would be, you know, basically ubiquitous computing throughout the classrooms. We knew that students would be taking those devices home, but as you just alluded to, there's a real concern there because we also have data that shows that it's not a huge percentage, but about 10%, give or take, of the households in our district do not have home internet access. So if we give a device, particularly a Chromebook, which is the device we've given that's heavily reliant upon the internet, and a student doesn't have home access, then teachers aren't able to rely on, you know, students' ability to access information. Students aren't able to extend, you know, what they're doing with their technology in the classroom to the home environment. And so that's one of the things that we did do is to work to receive a grant, which we received through Sprint. And basically Sprint has agreed over the next 5 years to provide us with 300 cellular hotspots each year, and that's cumulative, so next year we'll have 600, then 900, that we can provide at no cost to students who don't have home internet so they can still access those resources no matter where they are.
Mr. Miller, I would like you to begin by giving our audience and viewers a little background about yourself and how did you end up in Iowa City?
Oh, sure. So I'm actually originally from Wyoming. I moved here from Cody, Wyoming a little over a year ago. I've been in K-12 education for about 10 years now. Just a great opportunity came up here in the district, and Adam was good enough to offer me the position, and it's been a great experience so far. I've really got to explore a whole bunch of new avenues that I've never done before with project management, leadership roles, all different kind of scenarios here. It's just been a really great experience so far.
And Justin, I want to jump in as well with Justin. Has done a fantastic job for us. Really inherited a tough position, overseeing a fairly large team that includes about 15 people who are doing lots of different kinds of work, managing one-off projects all the way to setting up structures for how we provide support on a day-to-day basis. Those things are both critical when we talk about ensuring that teachers and students have access to technology that's consistent and reliable. So Justin's done a great job for us here.
Is there anything you want to add before we get into your presentation?
One thing that I would add is, I encourage people who are watching, if you have, questions about technology in the district, if you have concerns particularly for parents and students who are watching, also teachers, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy and Justin's happy to, address some of those questions. And, with technology, we have to approach it with a growth mindset. We have to approach it with a mindset where we don't look at anything as fixed. We don't look at anything as permanent. We've received questions and input from the community already that have shaped how we've proceeded, because good points were raised and issues, that we wanted to make sure were covered. So I guess I'd preface this by saying anyone who's watching, if you have questions or you have concerns or suggestions, things that you're interested in, please do reach out. And that's something that we listen to and we take seriously, and we try to give as detailed of responses as we can.
And they can contact you through the phone that's 688-1000.
Yep, that's correct. You can contact me via phone 688-1000. I'll also put my email address out there for all to see. So kurth.adam, kurth.adam @iowacityschools.org. You can contact me there.
Okay. I think we are about ready to start our slideshow or PowerPoint.
And once it's up there, the first thing that I was hoping to sort of highlight is, and mentioned it earlier, issues of the digital divide. And we know, and there's some great work being done at the University of Iowa looking at the implications within a few different departments of digital divide. Basically what we're talking about is inequality within Iowa City, but it exists. It's a nationwide issue. It's a worldwide issue where you have inequity in terms of ability to access and utilize information and technology resources. We've gotten to the point, and this is really critical for us as educators, we've gotten to the point where technology isn't optional. For one, it's written into Iowa standards. 21st century standards includes technology literacy, among other things that need technology to be addressed. But ultimately, we also have a moral and ethical obligation, because students who are in our schools and who graduate from our schools will need to have technology skills in order to function in our social environment, in our economic environment, future academic exploits that they take on. So it's not an option for us to look at technology as a nice add-on. We have to get to the point that we're addressing basic technology skills and hopefully advanced technology skills for all of our students, so they have access, they have ready access to those tools and those information resources. We as a school district, I think, are uniquely positioned to address that issue. There are things that municipal governments can do, and there are things that the federal government can do in the states. But we see our students every day, and we have the ability to provide some of those resources and help build some of those skills on a day-to-day basis deliberately. And I think that that's really important for us. We've addressed that in a handful of different ways. And the one that I'll start with, you brought up earlier, it's our secondary one-to-one initiative. And basically what that is, for those of you who might not know, we are giving Chromebooks to all of our secondary students. This year, high school students receive them at the start of the year. Next year, junior high students will. Those are assigned to each student. The students take them home. The students have them in class. And really, they're designed to be an always available presence. That's not to say that we're moving towards online instruction for courses. That's not to say that we're simply plugging kids into computers all day and, focused on that. There's still a ton of great instruction going on, and we're hoping that this program will help improve what we're able to do in terms of engaging students. But at the same time, we need to have that reliable access so that teachers aren't wondering about logistics of reserving computer labs and things.
Right.
One of the other things that we're offering is virtual applications to students. And I'll let Justin give a quick overview of what those are, and then I'll talk a little bit about the equity side of that.
Sure. So part of our upgrade cycle this last summer, we actually replaced a lot of our server infrastructure, our virtual server infrastructure. And what that allowed us to do is implement a Citrix-based virtual application delivery system that's available on campus and off campus. So the kids have access to all of the Adobe suite. That includes Photoshop and Premiere, a lot of just specialty apps that are for PLTW classes. Basically any kind of app that we can offer on Windows, we can offer virtually.
Yep, so not only have we gone to the Chromebooks, which are a lower cost alternative to Windows, simpler to use and manage, but all of those specialty Windows applications we're not only still providing to students and they can use them on their Chromebook, but whereas those used to be limited to specialty labs and situations like that, really now a student can access those software applications from anywhere. Again, improving equity, improving access. You mentioned the wireless hotspot program. That's something that, if there's one thing I really hope comes from this program, it's that we can help make people aware of that, because we still do have devices that, are available for allocation. Any student who doesn't have high quality home internet, so if a student's home just has dial-up, they still qualify. Basically, if you don't have broadband at home, students can contact, or parents can contact the librarians in the high schools right now, and we hope to extend this down to the junior highs next year. But contact the high schools and high school library, and students will be assigned a wireless hotspot there. At this point, it's nothing for parents to sign. It is simply, come in and ask for one, and you'll receive
it. And those
it.
spots are in the community?
So they're little devices about this big, and students can take them anywhere.
Oh, right.
So anywhere a student is, they can have internet access.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
They don't have to go to a coffee shop and pay
Right.
for a drink or,
Absolutely. Yep.
Sure.
Or if you're on a,
Right.
traveling for Thanksgiving to family, you can turn that on in the car and do work right there. So.
That's quite an advantage.
Yep. The other thing that I really want to highlight with our one-to-one initiative is that we are not placing any financial burden on families. And that is unique, as far as I know, in the state, in that we have no repair deposits. When a device is broken, we do not charge for repair to the families. There's no financial liability. And to me, that's really important. We can't give families a financial liability that's part of our core curricular offering. And so Justin can talk a little bit about, when a device breaks. We have thousands of devices out there. They do get broken sometime, but basically what happens when that occurs?
Sure. If a device is broken or it's lost or missing, the student just simply goes to their library and goes to their technician, and they explain the situation. They get a new one issued to them. There's unless there's some kind of discipline issue, it's just an immediate replacement.
Yep, and the discipline issues such that there might be would be handled at the building level. You know, by and large, we haven't seen that this year. We've seen, you know, students who have really taken ownership of those devices that we've given them. We've had a breakage rate that's below what we expected it to be at this point in the year, and that's been a really good thing.
But let me, I'm not here trying to give compliment to Sprint, but this is a true role for business in education. I mean, that's how business becomes part of the general awareness of how important to prepare our new generations.
Absolutely.
Because eventually those are the kids that are going to be skillful enough to add to the workforce their expertise. And for the business to do that is something really great. And we have to give them credit for this initiative, definitely.
I absolutely agree, and you know, it's also worth noting that Sprint's program is not just confined to Iowa City. Excuse me. They have a goal of reaching 1 million students over the next 5 years. So we're, you know, a part of that, but they're committing a great deal of resources to that. And we've had a lot of support, not necessarily financial, but in other ways, from our local business community as well. And that's something
Through
that
the
means
foundation.
a lot to us. Through the foundation, also through, there's a group called the IT Sector Board that we've had a lot of positive interactions with, developing internship opportunities for students in technology, that sort of thing. Another access initiative, we talked about the one-to-one, which is really at a high school and junior high level initiative. Another really important initiative we have going right now is change to how we deploy student accessible technology at the elementary school level. So it's easy with technology to think about, you know, high school, and there's a lot of importance there, students doing engineering and computer science. It's just as critical at the elementary grade levels, really increasingly as students get older, but you know, certainly at the elementary buildings as well. And last year we had a district-wide student-to-device ratio of about 3.4 to 1. And one of the pieces of feedback we got from all of our elementary schools is that that wasn't enough. We had a lot of situations where teachers wanted to make use of technologies and simply couldn't. Wasn't available. So we are implementing a new deployment that will reduce that ratio to 1.9 students per device. And that has equity issues to begin with.
Sure.
But another twist that we're adding on this, and this came out of a lot of discussion we had last year, was to implement basically a version of our weighted resource model that we're using for staffing, where higher needs buildings get more staff, lower class sizes. And we're doing basically the same thing for technology deployments. So that 1.9 to 1 is an average, and it'll be weighted based upon free and reduced lunch rate, and there are a lot of reasons for using that as our metric. Weighted such that the highest needs schools, the ratio will be 1.4 to 1, ranging up the spectrum to 2.4 to 1 in the lowest needs buildings. Now, one critical thing to point out is that those ratios, even in the buildings that are the high end of the spectrum, are still going to be substantially better than what they have had previously. So we'll see an influx of technology in all of our buildings, but particularly those highest needs buildings. If you think back to the digital divide question, a big issue is access at home and ability to develop those skills at home. If I'm a first grade teacher and I want to use technology in my classroom, if I have a classroom where most of my students have had technology at home, they've experienced it, the learning curve for getting started and using that technology for learning is much shallower than it is if I have a classroom where students simply haven't had that exposure. So by increasing access, we're able to create a situation where it's easier for teachers to integrate technology more consistently, more purposively in those environments where it takes more time to meaningfully use that technology. So that's been a focus for us.
Do we have other slides?
There is one more.
Okay, let us get it.
Yep.
and then we'll have a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So the final thing, and I'll turn this one over to Justin really to talk about, but one of the things that we've done is to invest heavily in increasing our network infrastructure. You can't have an influx of devices without providing the backbone to support it. So Justin, I'll talk a little bit about that.
So again, during our last summer upgrade cycle, we did a massive upgrade of the entire backbone for the school district. Along with that, we've increased our outbound bandwidth to 3 gigabits, which it previously was 1 gigabit, so we multiplied that by 3. There's a few high need sites that we actually also addressed, Hills, Weber, Tate, and Transitions. Now each of these had their own unique challenges, but at this point, every single one of those buildings is almost complete or already complete with an upgrade that'll multiply their bandwidth by at least 20 times.
Oh, that's excellent.
So yeah, I'm happy to say finally our big project was Hills. That was of course the most difficult because it's so far away. As of today, construction is complete for our new circuit to that building.
And you took care of track and transition.
Yep.
Which is a really population that in urgent need for that.
Absolutely.
And thank you for doing that. I mean, to meet their needs. Well, what you are in the trenches, I understand. So, what are the major problems that you face in the district when you travel or you go and visit a site or something? What is the major problem?
Mostly distance, you know, especially with like a site like Hills, where it's, you know, several miles away from the nearest network point. We have such a large district, all the way from North Liberty down to Hills it's 30, 40 miles. So just being able to secure, you know, right-of-ways, we've worked with all 3 cities. The university, of course, has been a great partner, providing some strands for backbone fiber. Just building those partnerships has been a challenge, but it's been very much worth it. Having partnerships with all the cities, all the big entities in the area has really allowed all the students to benefit.
Well, you are from Wyoming. We have here mountains of snow. That's what we have, right?
Yep.
You used to live in a place that's full of topography, right?
Yes, yes. It's definitely a different area, but very beautiful still.
We thank you very much. That was really a delight having you, and we always look forward to listen to the new things, you know, because you always come with something new to us.
Yep.
The technology is developing so fast, and in the speedy way that kids can catch up easily.
Yeah.
But people of my generation, I think, have some trouble. Do you have any trouble with teachers sometimes understand what they have to do? You have to give them like workshops or something?
You know, absolutely. Not so much trouble, but we do have to support our deployments, and that's really a critical thing. You know, one of the things I didn't mention on that elementary slide is that, you know, we've committed to when we do, whether it's the one-to-one implementations at the secondaries or the big implementations at the elementaries, doing concurrent professional development. You know, again, I mentioned the infrastructure. You can't have an infusion of technology without the backbone to support it. You also can't have an infusion of technology and just expect that it's going to happen in the buildings. We have to provide that training to teachers. And I'll be honest, that's the biggest challenge I think our department faces right now, is meeting that challenge in a way that's really, really high quality. You know, and I think we've had a lot of initiatives going. We've supported them, but I think we can support them even better than we have.
So you have something through the professional development as well?
Yep.
Like you give them some training?
Yep,
and,
absolutely. So at the elementary levels, we're actually partnering with a company called Tierney, which we piloted at a few schools last year and had really positive feedback with regard to the work that they did with our teachers. And so when a building is on the upgrade cycle to get to the new technology deployment, we're bringing Tierney in to work with each of those buildings going forward. And then at the high school level, we have work going on with our technology cadre groups in the district, and then also work that we deliver through Grantwood AEA and also through our district's instructional design innovation specialists.
We wish you all the best and wish you all the success. This show, as our viewers know, will be on Channel 18, that's Public Access TV, as well as Channel 21, the education channel, and we are going to be on YouTube tonight. So if you don't have facility to see our show on your TV, please go to YouTube and see all the shows of Education Exchange. And thank you, Adam, Kurth, very much. Mr. Miller, welcome to Iowa City. I hope it will be your favorite home after Wyoming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of John Karhoff and Dr. G, the director of Public Access TV, and the team here, Erin Crawford and Juliet and Alex, and on behalf of Mr. Michael Peterson, who is our director and cameraman and does everything we need, and for the audience that we have today, Miss Miriam, who didn't have a chance to be on the air, but next time I'm sure she's going to be participating with us. Ladies and gentlemen, have a very good night from Iowa City in a beautiful November night weather. Thank you.